On the morning of September 11th, 2001, America experienced one of the most devastating terrorist attacks in its history. In a coordinated plot carried out by the Islamist extremist group al-Qaeda, 4 commercial airliners were hijacked and used as weapons. The attacks caused the deaths of nearly 3,000 people, injured thousands more, and changed the course of global politics and security. The morning that changed everything, it began like any other Tuesday. In New York City, people commuted to work. The sky was clear. By 8 a.m., offices in the World Trade Center's Twin Towers were filling up. These iconic skyscrapers stood as symbols of American economic power. At 8:46 a.m., American Airlines Flight 11 crashed into the North Tower 1 World Trade Center. At first, many thought it was a tragic accident, but just 17 minutes later, at 9:03 a.m., United Airlines Flight 175 slammed into the South Tower to World Trade Center. The world quickly realized this was a deliberate attack. Meanwhile, 2 more planes were hijacked. At 9:37 a.m., American Airlines Flight 77 crashed into the Pentagon in Arlington, Virginia, the headquarters of the U.S. Department of Defense. A 4th plane, United Airlines Flight 93, was also hijacked and headed for another target in Washington, D.C., possibly the White House or the U.S. Capitol. Passengers on Flight 93 learned about the other attacks through phone calls. Realizing what was happening, they fought back. At 10:03 a.m., the plane crashed into a field in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. Everyone on board died, but their bravery likely prevented even more destruction and loss of life. The damage to the Twin Towers was catastrophic. Fueled by jet fuel, fires raged uncontrollably. At 9:59 a.m., the South Tower collapsed. The North Tower followed at 10:28 a.m. Each collapse took less than 15 seconds, sending massive clouds of dust and debris through the streets of Manhattan. The area around the World Trade Center, later known as Ground Zero, became a scene of chaos. Thousands tried to escape on foot, covered in ash. First responders rushed in to help, risking their lives. Many firefighters, police officers, and paramedics were killed when the towers fell. Heroes of the day amid the horror, stories of courage and humanity emerged. Firefighters like Chief Peter Gansey, the highest-ranking FDNY official on the scene, refused to leave his men and died in the collapse. Port Authority officers helped evacuate thousands from the towers. Civilians helped beat each other down dark, smoke-filled stairwells. One man, blind since birth, was led down over 70 floors by his guide dog. In the skies above Pennsylvania, passengers on Flight 93 made the ultimate sacrifice. Todd Beamer, one of the passengers, was heard saying, "Let's roll," as they stormed the cockpit. Their resistance ensured the hijackers did not reach their intended target. The human cost in total: 2,977 people were killed in the attacks, not including the 19 hijackers. Victims came from over 90 countries, showing how global the tragedy truly was. Thousands more were injured, and countless others were exposed to toxic dust and chemicals. Over the years, many first responders and residents have suffered from respiratory diseases and cancer linked to 9/11s. The psychological impact was immense. Families were shattered. Some waited days or weeks for news of missing loved ones. Many never received remains to bury. The memorial walls, filled with photos and messages, reflected the depth of collective grief. Why it happened? The mastermind behind the attacks was Osama bin Laden, the leader of al-Qaeda. He had long expressed hatred for the United States, citing reasons such as the U.S. military presence in the Middle East, support for Israel, and perceived oppression of Muslims. The 19 hijackers were mostly from Saudi Arabia, trained in secret and sent to America months before the attacks. The plan was carefully coordinated. The hijackers boarded domestic flights with box cutters and small knives, which at the time were allowed on planes. Once in the air, they took control of the cockpits and turned the planes into missiles. The aftermath, the United States responded swiftly. On September 14th, President George W. Bush declared a war on terror. By October 7, 2001, the U.S. began bombing Taliban-controlled Afghanistan, which had been sheltering bin Laden and al-Qaeda. This marked the beginning of America's longest war, which continued until 2021. Security around the world was transformed. The Department of Homeland Security was created. Airport screening became more thorough. Intelligence agencies were restructured to prevent similar failures. The Patriot Act was passed, expanding government surveillance powers, a move that sparked debates over privacy and civil liberties. In May 2011, after nearly a decade of searching, Osama bin Laden was found hiding in Pakistan and killed by U.S. Navy SEALs. Remembering 9/11's Ground Zero was eventually cleared and rebuilt. In its place now stands the National September 11th Memorial and Museum, with 2 reflecting pools where the towers once stood. The names of every victim are etched in bronze around the edges. The new One World Trade Center, completed in 2014, rises 1,776 feet taller, symbol of resilience and renewal, each year. On the anniversary, ceremonies are held across the U.S. bells toll at the exact times the planes hit and the towers fell. The phrase, "never forget," has become part of the national consciousness. For those who lived through that day, the memories remain vivid. The disbelief, the fear, the silence in the skies, the lines of people donating blood, and the flags, hung in mourning and unity. Conclusion: the story of 9/11s is a story of terror, loss, and unimaginable destruction. But it is also a story of heroism, sacrifice, and resilience. It changed how we view the world and how we live in it. While time has passed, the events of that day continue to shape our present and our future. And as we remember, we honor those who were lost not just in grief, but through a shared commitment to never let their lives be forgotten. Let me know if you'd like this formatted differently, made shorter, longer, or tailored for a school report or presentation. Call to action and mention my YouTube channel name for like, comment, share, and subscribe. for channel greater than Z boss.